On the last episode of How to Save the NBA, I talked about divisions and how there needs to be some significance brought back to divisions in the NBA. And I thought about bringing back how the NBA used to do divisions where it was an automatic home court advantage for winning your division. On today's episode of How to Save the NBA, I will be discussing the three-point line and how the NBA can further address the increased usage of the three-point line and the detrimental effect it has had to the product of the NBA. Without further ado, let's get into the video. What is good, YouTube? This is your boy Aaron. I am back for another video, and today I want to discuss another idea that I came up with. Now, it's not my original idea that I came up with. I've actually heard it from other people, from other shows, be it Gilbert Arenas, be it First Take. I've just heard some similar ideas, and I am incorporating it into what I'm going to be talking about on the episode 2 of How to Save the NBA. Now, I discussed this with Brian on a separate podcast episode. I didn't really like the execution of it. I will be showing pieces from that podcast, specifically Brian's reaction to my idea and his thoughts on the idea. So that'll be further in the video. But for right now, I want to get to what is the idea I want to discuss on this video. And before we do that, I want to talk about a few things that I noticed from this season of the NBA, the 2024-2025 NBA season. And the number one team that attempts the most three-pointers per game is the Boston Celtics. And they attempt 57% of their attempts are from the three-point line. And that's the most in the NBA. And if you compare that to the Warriors 10 years ago, this Warriors team that won the championship, and folks were complaining about, oh, they shoot a whole bunch of threes. They were number 7th in 3-point attempts per game, 31%, and they won the championship. Now, take that to account. There are other teams in the NBA in 2024-2025 season that are attempting more shots per game from the three-point line compared to the Warriors 2014-2015 season. So without further ado, here's my idea. I want to talk about putting the three-point line further back. The three-point line right now is 23 feet 9 inches. The corner three is 22 feet. My idea is to push the three-point line back to 25 feet because nowadays what teams are doing, they are exploiting the three-point line more than ever before. And what the NBA needs to do, they need to do something drastic because the viewership is going down. The NBA Cup numbers are going down. Viewership overall, regular season, is going down. So how do you address just some of the glaring things that are going on in the NBA? Well, number one, I talked about divisions. And number two, I think it's the three-point shooting. Just last night, the Hornets and the Bulls combined for 75 missed three-pointers last night. That's the most ever in a regular season game in NBA history. That just lets you know how many threes that our teams are shooting per game and how much they're exploiting that just the three-point shooting. So what I want to do is I want to incentivize teams to take more mid-range shots. I want to incentivize teams to not rely solely on the three-point line. And I want to make the three-point shot more significant in terms of how it's used, right? So you have the home run in the MLB and how important that is. You have a touchdown in the NFL. Well, I want to make the three-point shot, obviously it's not going to be as significant as those two things, but I want to make it more significant and important without exploiting it too much. So I believe what they need to do is push back the three-point line because guys are just too good now at shooting three. And I want to make it a lot more difficult for teams to shoot threes and incentivize them to shoot more mid-range jumpers. So push back the three-point line to 25 feet and eliminate corner threes. Now, why do I want to do that? Because number one, well, corner threes are the shortest distance three-point shot on the floor. It's 22 feet. So obviously you're going to have to eliminate corner threes if I'm going to push it back to 25 feet from the wing and from the top of the key. Eliminating corner threes, pushing back the 3-point line, the wing and the top of the key to 25 feet. That way now pretty much teams are forced to shoot mid-range jumpers. They're forced to have to go back to the basket a lot more because there's no corner three. Because a lot of teams in the past have utilized the corner three a lot in the past. Like a lot of these players, like they just specifically practice on mastering corner three shots. A lot of these shooters, some of these bigs, these stretch fours, they're only good at shooting corner threes and nothing else. Like a PJ Tucker, like a Draymond Green. You know what I mean? So eliminating the corner three, pushing it back to 25 feet will help with the play of the NBA and incentivize teams to shoot more mid-range jumpers. So now I want to turn it on to Brian and his thoughts on my idea, and then we'll come back afterwards.
But I will say with your proposed idea, the getting rid of the corner three would condense the spacing more, so it would be harder to get them threes off because you have limited area to work with. But I don't think the NBA is going to do it because they don't want to change. I think it'd be too much outrage. People be like, oh, you got rid of the corner three. You just made a whole section of the court pretty much useless. No one's going to shoot from there and blah, blah, blah. And honestly, the whole moving the 3-point line back, it would help. I mean, it wouldn't get percentages to maybe drop some. I still don't think it would stop people from shooting there because these dudes shooting from 30 feet consistently. So, I mean, I'm not sure how much that would help. I'm telling you the real answer, if they really want to do it, they're not going to do it because we don't like change nowadays. I'm telling you, I've said this to you off camera. 3s and 4s. It makes the most mathematical sense, but for the purity's sake of basketball, it won't happen.
You really think teams are going to just keep abusing from like 25 feet?
Yeah.
What if it was 27 feet?
Okay, that's pretty far. You probably would see more guards. You probably won't see like the bigs being all the way out there. But at the end of the day, 3 points is significantly more than 2 down when you go off sample size. So until that changes or until they implement something like this, I don't see that changing at all. Something's got to give them.
Well, if they do increase the distance of the 3-point line, I don't care where it is, as long as it prevents teams from shooting 53s a game. So it could be 30 feet, it could be 27 feet, as long as it incentivizes more teams to shoot 2s rather than 3s, then I'm all for it. I just don't like the way the game is being played right now. And, you know, a lot of people have theories. A lot of people want to say, oh, this is the reason why the NBA is dropping in viewership. The big thing is going to go back to the play style, and it's the 3-point shooting that I just showed you. That is one of the biggest reasons why the NBA is dropping in viewership, and nobody wants to really just hammer home about that. That is I wouldn't say it's necessarily the number one reason, but it's one of the top 3 reasons why the NBA is dropping in viewership. And my idea, if it's 25 feet, if it's 27 feet, they have to do something about the 3-point line because they keep abusing the 3-point line. In the NFL, and we're going to get to this on my next topic when we talk about Adam Silver, but in the NFL, whenever a team is abusing a rule or maybe not something that's not even in the rule, the NFL generally will make an adjustment. They'll generally say, okay, you can do it, but you can't do it to the degree that you once could, per se. Like, they'll always make adjustments to make sure that a team is not getting an unfair advantage at a certain rule or something, or a certain play. With the NBA, it seems like nowadays teams are just abusing certain things over and over and over again, like the 3-point line, and Adam Silver is not trying to make any adjustments towards it because it's having a detrimental effect on the quality of the game. Yeah, teams are winning a lot of games because of it, but if you're trying to elevate the game to another level, this isn't good for the future. So I believe that the league needs to assess the 3-point line And if they want to continue to elevate the game, if they want to continue to reap the benefits of the game itself, you're going to have to make some changes to the three-point line. There's just no way you can just sit there and just expect that the game will continue to improve if you don't make changes to the three-point line. Because that's all people are doing nowadays is shooting threes. Like bigs are shooting threes, guards, wings, everybody's shooting threes. So like how are we going to get a balance? How are we going to find a compromise? And the compromise is moving the three-point line back further to like 25 feet. I feel like that's the best compromise we can come up with. And if the players don't like it, then screw them.
Mm.
It's time to put Adam Silver, he has to put his foot down now. Time to put his foot down because these players, we have been catering them for so long. So
I have a little bit of trivia for you.
yeah, what's up?
All right, so this is a little trivia. Okay, what my bad. 10 years ago, 2014-2015 NBA season. How many attempts did you think teams were getting up from the three-point line?
2014-2015 season.
Yes.
Attempts from the three-point line per game.
Yes. League average.
And this is percentage, or this is just total?
Just the total, just the amount of three-pointers a team will shoot on a night-to-night basis.
Per game.
League average.
30. It's 20.
22.4.
Wow, this was 10 years ago.
League average. 10 years ago. What do you think it is now?
It got to be 50.
37.5.
Oh, it's only 37. I want Celtics.
Yeah.
I think because of Celtics. Celtics
That
is crazy.
About a 16-point leap. 16 attempt leap.
37 is crazy.
Now, do you think the field goal percentage has drastically increased?
No, absolutely not. No.
You would be right. The difference is about 0.16 in field goal percentage. If a three-point percentage, it's 0.9.
Mm-hmm.
About 35% from three back in 2014. 35.9% from three nowadays. So they're not really getting more efficient. They're just playing the numbers game.
I will say though, if you attempt more 3-point shots and the percentage is still a little bit better, that is pretty impressive. Though.
Yes.
But it doesn't help the game at all. It's still bad for the game because you want to see more mid-range shots. You want to see a balance.
But the point I'm trying to get across is that it's not necessarily that everyone is just so much better at shooting nowadays. It's that the game is being designed around the three-point shot.
You're right.
Because looking at the numbers, you're like, well, it's not that much of an incremental increase to think that, everyone's just a sharpshooter nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the game is now being played to where the three-point shot is emphasized. You look at the true shooting percentage, I mean, okay, it's a pretty solid difference, but it's still in the 50s.
Yeah.
You look at, what else you want to look at? All course offensive rating is much higher. It was about 7-8 points higher, which is still a pretty solid increase. But also, what I think is interesting, the amount of three-point attempts has gone significantly up. Yet, the free throw attempts per game is still relatively the same.
Mm-hmm.
How is that?
Why is that? I don't know. You tell me. Is it because guys are manipulating the refs into calling certain fouls?
Exactly. And which is another reason why the game is trending downwards. Because there's no way there's a 16 attempt increase in three-pointers a game, league average, yet the field goal free throw attempts per game is the same. Essentially. It's just no way.
Mm-hmm.
Something's got to give.
Yeah, that is. I don't think there's a way we can change the officiating significantly. That's going to be a lot harder because these guys are just so good at manipulating the refs into calling certain fouls. So that's harder. But the 3-point line, I think they can figure out a way with that one. That's a lot easier than the officiating part of things.
Just let me be me.